Welcome to Transit TLDR, where we watch the MTA board meetings so you don't have to. Here's what riders should know after last week's January meeting. This was a combo general board meeting and committee meeting thanks to the snowstorm, so some board members called in from home, which only led to a few technical difficulties.
You're muted. Unmute.
Jano, as always, opened the meeting, and now that 2025 is over, can give us some numbers that look at last year as a whole. There were over 1.9 billion rides with the MTA in 2025, up 7% from the year before. 2025 was also the safest year on the subway in a generation, and customer satisfaction is at 62%, which is up 13% from 2024. He brings up the new fare gates, which he knows are getting a lot of attention online. If you didn't know, there are 3 different models being tested right now across 12 stations, with more on the way in the next few weeks. All of these are being paid for by the companies competing for an eventual citywide contract. Next, an update on the 2nd Avenue subway. Phase 2 of construction is continuing, despite federal funding being pulled over DEI in October. The MTA is recertifying all the businesses in their DBE program, so they're in compliance with new federal standards. Nonetheless, the 2nd Avenue subway construction is continuing. Plus, as we heard during the governor's State of the State address, they're exploring continuing the 2nd Avenue subway beyond where it's currently set to end, and maybe extending it west all the way to Broadway. They're also going to be exploring a modernization of the Jamaica station since its traffic has grown so much with air train transfers and expanded LIRR service. Jano wraps up his remarks with applause for our pro-transit governor, and he's excited for a great year with a transit advocate mayor too. Up next, the committees. The first committee to give an update is New York City Transit. Bernard Jackson gave insight into New York City Transit's preparation for the snowstorm and service updates, and he thanks the 16,000 subway employees and 6,000 bus employees for their hard work during the snow to keep us moving.
That's an impressive feat.
We also get December's performance metrics from the subway and the bus. Board member Daniel Gorodnik asks for an update on bus stops that are still too snowy to access. Jano says they're working hard with city sanitation and DOT to get these cleared, so stay tuned. The next committee update comes from the Long Island Railroad, where Rob Free gave updates on how LIRR handled the storm, ridership stats from December, updates on completed accessibility and station upgrades, and overall performance data from 2025. Up next, we get a similar update from the Metro North Committee. Notably, they brought up the Metro North's plan to bring service to Albany. Since it was last discussed, Amtrak has decided to resume full service to Albany, so the Metro North solution is on the back burner for now. Bridges and Tunnels goes next. Again, they gave a huge thanks to the workers who kept us moving safely during the snow, and they present 2025's highlights. Next is the Finance Committee, and they didn't have any graphs like the other committees, so I did admittedly have a hard time following, but the biggest update from them is that the MTA received $1.5 billion in one-time license fees from the newly approved casinos. That money has been budgeted into the 2026 through 2029 financial plan, which the board already approved. Next is the MTA Audit Committee, where they summarize all the places they looked for opportunities to save money in 2025. Finally, the Construction and Development Committee update. Construction and Development committed $15.8 billion in contracts in 2025, and $5 billion of that is thanks to congestion pricing. So where does that money go? Well, it went to new signals on 42 miles of tracks on the AC line, aka less delays and stopped trains. Congestion pricing also gave 7 stations ADA accessibility upgrades last year, with 16 more on the way. Plus, hundreds of new subway cars are set to be purchased, and the IBX work kicked off last year. Several important projects were also completed last year, so 41 elevators were replaced throughout the system, the Omni transition was completed, the Grand Central Subway Complex remodel was completed, and a few other behind-the-scenes projects also hit major benchmarks like new substations, bus depots, and track repairs. Next, we get an update from a subcommittee, the Transit-Oriented Development Committee, and their job is to facilitate housing near transit in the region. Last year, they unlocked over 1,500 new housing units, and then the board formally voted to approve some budget things that I think they already verbally approved, but board stuff.
That's what you missed on Glee.